At 22 years old, Tom Brady was a nobody in the NFL draft. Picked 199th, a skinny kid with slow stats that made coaches shrug. When he arrived as a rookie at the New England Patriots camp in 2000, even the team owner was underwhelmed meeting him. Tom was carrying a pizza box and an uncertain future. Owner Robert Kraft recalls greeting him, "I said, I know who you are. You're Tom Brady from Michigan, our 6th-round draft choice." And Tom said, "I'm the best decision this organization has ever made." People laughed at the boldness. Tom was 4th string, nearly invisible, but he meant it. That season, an injury to the starting quarterback gave Brady his chance, and he stunned everyone. He led the team to a Super Bowl victory the very next year. Over 2 decades, Tom won 7 Super Bowl titles, more than any player in history, turning that brazen promise into truth. The kid, once passed over by 198 players, became what many call the greatest quarterback of all time. Believe in yourself before anyone else does. And as Brady proved, self-belief can turn long shots into legends. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Overlooked from the start. To understand how Tom Brady turned a long shot into a legend, we need to look at where he started. Tom wasn't an instant star. In fact, even before the NFL, he was often overlooked. When he joined the University of Michigan, he was 7th on the quarterback depth chart. 6 other guys were ahead of him. Coaches hardly gave him any reps in practice. It was frustrating. Imagine working so hard, but barely getting the chance to prove yourself. Tom considered quitting or transferring to another school out of frustration. Instead, he decided to fight for his dream. He met with a sports psychologist named Greg Harden, who gave him simple advice: focus on what you can control. Tom was only getting a couple of snaps in practice, so Greg told him to make those 2 reps the best 2 reps possible. Tom took that to heart. Every time he got a chance, even just a brief moment on the field, he treated it like the Super Bowl. He sprinted into those practice plays with energy, calling out, "Let's go," as if he was already a champion. His teammates probably thought that he was a little intense for a practice drill, but that intensity paid off. Slowly, he started to improve and earn more snaps. 2 reps turned into 4 into 10. Before long, Tom climbed the ranks and became the starting quarterback at Michigan. He proved that even if others ignore you, you can rise by working hard and making the most of every opportunity. Draft day in 2000 brought a new wave of disappointment. Tom sat with his family watching name after name get called. He was expected to be picked in the early rounds, but those rounds passed by with no call. Teams kept overlooking him. 6 other quarterbacks were chosen while Tom waited. He later admitted that day was extremely hard. At one point, feeling the stress and embarrassment, he took a walk around the block with his parents to clear his head. Imagine dreaming your whole life of playing in the NFL and then thinking it might not even happen. Tom even joked later, "When the Patriots finally called, I was so excited. I was like, I don't have to be an insurance salesman." You can hear the relief in that joke. He just wanted a chance to prove himself in football. Finally, in the 6th round, with pick number 199, the New England Patriots selected Tom Brady. He was almost the very end of the draft. When he arrived in New England, he was not coming in as a celebrated 1st-round pick expected to save the franchise. He was a long shot, a nobody, carrying a pizza box into the Patriots facility for the first time. But Tom's confidence never wavered. Remember how Patriots owner Robert Kraft was introduced to this skinny kid and was boldly told, "I'm the best decision this organization has ever made"? That wasn't arrogance for the sake of arrogance. That was Tom declaring his belief in himself. It bordered on absurd at the time, but it came from a real place of determination. He wanted the organization to know that even if he was picked 199th, he intended to work and become great. Seizing the opportunity. In Tom's rookie year, he hardly played at all. He was the 4th-string quarterback buried on the roster. Most rookies in that position might never see the field and eventually get cut from the team. Tom used this time wisely. He studied the playbook tirelessly and practiced hard. He built a reputation on the practice squad for being ultra prepared, always acting like a leader even when he technically wasn't one. Teammates later recalled how focused he was, how he would even stay after practice to run drills or study film. He was preparing for a moment that hadn't come yet, a moment that not even he knew would ever come. And this is the key. He didn't wait to be named a starter to start acting like a starter. He already carried himself like one in the shadows so that he'd be ready when it counted. And then it happened. In the 2nd game of the 2001 season, the Patriots starting quarterback, Drew Bledsoe, got hurt. hurt. It was a brutal hit that knocked Bledsoe out of the game and out of the lineup for weeks. In that instant, Tom Brady's moment arrived. This was the chance he had been preparing for since the day he told Mr. Kraft he'd be the best decision the team ever made. The coaches told Tom to get in the game. Imagine the pressure. The team is depending on a virtually unknown second-year player who had barely thrown a pass in an NFL game. But Tom was ready. All those hours studying and practicing as if he were the starter paid off. He stepped onto the field with confidence instead of fear. Tom didn't need to do anything flashy at first. He just needed to be steady and be smart. And that's what he did. He won that game and then the next and kept on winning. The Patriots, under this young, unheralded quarterback, started stacking victories. He guided the team all the way to the playoffs, defying every prediction that said they were finished when the star quarterback went down. Suddenly, the Patriots found themselves in a 2001 season's championship game, the Super Bowl, going up against the heavily favored St. Louis Rams. The Rams were an offensive powerhouse, nicknamed the greatest show on turf. They had league MVP Kurt Warner and had won a Super Bowl recently. By contrast, who was Tom Brady? Just a few months earlier, most fans couldn't have told you his name. No one expected the Patriots to win, except, it seems, Tom and his teammates. In the Super Bowl, Brady kept his cool. The game was tense, coming down to the final moments, tied 17-17. With no timeouts and very little time left, instead of playing it safe for overtime, Brady drove the offense down the field in the dying seconds. He set up the winning field goal as the clock expired. The Patriots won the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady was named the game's MVP in essentially his rookie season as a starter. It was a shocking sports upset. The kid who nobody believed in had just taken down the best team in football and reached the very top of the sport. Also, if you want to take real action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description to go grab it. I'll see you there. Proving them all wrong. That Super Bowl victory could have been the end of the story, a one-time fairy tale of an underdog who had a lucky run. But Tom was just getting started. He didn't celebrate one championship and then call it a day. He came back even hungrier. Critics said, okay, he won one Super Bowl, but can he do it again? Tom answered by winning another in 2003 and another in 2004. By his mid-20s, he had 3 Super Bowl rings on his hand. Suddenly, that bold statement to Robert Kraft didn't seem so crazy. Tom was turning out to be one of the best decisions the Patriots ever made. However, the journey had some bumps too. After those early championships, Tom faced a long title drought. Year after year, he played at a high level, but the team fell short of the championship. They even came close to a perfect season in 2007, winning 18 games in a row, only to lose in the final minutes of the Super Bowl that year. It was a heartbreaking loss, the kind that could crush anyone's confidence. But not Tom's. He famously said that you can always decide how to respond to setbacks. Instead of feeling defeated, he used those losses as motivation to get better. In 2008, he faced another major challenge, a severe knee injury in the very first game of the season. It tore ligaments in his knee and forced him to miss the entire year. Some sports commentators wondered if this injury would change him, maybe slow him down for good. While recovering, Tom didn't lose faith. He worked intensely on rehabilitation and came back the next season as determined as ever. His performance didn't drop. If anything, he seemed to appreciate the game even more after being sidelined. He kept pushing forward, and a few years later, he led the Patriots to more Super Bowl appearances and victories. One of Tom's most legendary moments came years later. In Super Bowl 51, he was 39 years old, which in his football years, as being a major veteran, his team was trailing 28-3 in the third quarter of the championship game. No team had ever overcome such a deficit in a Super Bowl. Many fans at home had likely given up on the Patriots that night. But on the sidelines, Tom was seen walking up and down, telling his teammates, one play at a time, we can do this. He never stopped believing they could win, even when it seemed impossible. And incredibly, the Patriots clawed back. Touchdown by touchdown, they tied the game 28-28 and forced the first overtime in Super Bowl history. Tom led the final drive in overtime that completed the greatest comeback ever. It was his 5th championship, and it proved again, never count out the guy who refuses to quit. By this point, Tom Brady has long since proven all of that was wrong, yet even after 5 and then 6 Super Bowl wins, there were still people who said he's only succeeded because he was in a great system with a great coach. Maybe he can't win without the Patriots. So in 2020, at 43 years old, an age age when even legendary quarterbacks have retired, Tom decided to start a new chapter. He left the New England Patriots, the team he helped turn into a dynasty, and joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that hadn't even been to the playoffs in over a decade. Instantly, the doubters resurfaced. Was this a mistake? Was he too old now? Some thought his best days were behind him. For sure, Tom Brady turned those doubts into more determination. He brought his leadership and belief to Tampa Bay and told his new teammates that they could win it all. And then he went out and did exactly that. He led the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl in his first season with the team. It was his 7th title, and for Tampa Bay, it was their first championship in nearly 20 years. Imagine being in a completely new environment with new coaches and players at age 43 when most athletes are long retired and still reaching the very top. It's unheard of. That silenced any remaining critics. Tom had shown that his success wasn't just a lucky situation in New England. It was repeatable because it came from his own belief, talent, and relentless work ethic. Even after achieving more than any NFL player in history, Tom kept that chip on his shoulder from when he was picked number 199. He once shared that he actually loved reading his old scouting report because it fired him up. That report famously said, "Poor build, skinny, lacks great physical stature and strength." Scouts said he couldn't run, he didn't have a strong arm, and he'd get knocked down easily. Can you imagine hearing that about yourself? Tom could have believed it, but he didn't. Instead, he used it as motivation. He said that every time he proved those negative expectations wrong, it built an even stronger belief inside him. His attitude became, even if no one else believes in me, I believe in me. He once said, "I don't care what you say, I know what I can do." And that mindset is the core of Tom Brady's story. Believe in yourself. Tom Brady's journey from an unnoticed college player to a 5th-string NFL afterthought to the greatest quarterback of all time shows his perseverance and self-belief. There were countless moments where he could have given up or settled, when he was stuck on the bench in college, when he kept sliding down the draft board, when he was a no-name rookie, or even later when he faced tough injuries and losses. But each time he chose to bet on himself. He put in the work behind the scenes, preparing for an opportunity that might never come. And when it did come, he was ready. The lesson in Tom's story is not about football. It's about life. It's about believing in yourself before anyone else does. People may underestimate you. Labels might be put on you that make you feel small, and the odds might be stacked against you. But Tom Brady showed that labels and odds don't decide your fate. Your attitude and your effort does. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest player, but his determination was second to none. He believed he could succeed, so he kept pushing, he kept learning, and he kept improving until success was no longer a long shot, but a reality. So think about your own goals, your own challenges. You might feel like you're way behind the people ahead of you, like you're the underdog in your own story. Maybe others have overlooked you or they've doubted you. Ask yourself, if a skinny, slow kid picked 199th in the draft can rise to become a 7-time champion through belief and hard work, why can't you overcome your challenges too? So next time someone tells you that you can't, remember Tom Brady. Remember how he internally said, "Just watch me." Use that doubt as motivation. Focus on what you can control and give it everything you have, no matter how small your current opportunity is. Tom's story teaches us that self-belief doesn't guarantee instant success, but it guarantees that you give yourself a chance. And when you give your dreams a real chance, incredible things can happen. His life is proof that sometimes the greatest victories come from the biggest underdogs who simply refuse to quit. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe. Now let's learn the incredible story of Lionel Messi.
At age 11, Lionel Messi was a talented soccer player in Argentina, but he was tiny for his age. Doctors diagnosed him with a growth hormone disorder that stunted his growth. He needed expensive medical injections every night or he might never grow to a normal height. Messi's family couldn't afford the treatment for long, and no local club would cover the cost. Some coaches told him he was just too small to succeed. His future in soccer was in doubt, despite his skill. But on the other side of the world, one club saw something special in him. In 2000, FC Barcelona invited 13-year-old Messi for a trial. Their youth coach watched the little boy dribble through players twice his size. Messi was shy and very small, but his talent was unmistakable. The coach quickly said, "Sign him. Don't even think about it." Barcelona agreed to pay for Messi's treatment and move his family to Spain. They even signed the contract on a napkin that day because they didn't want to wait. Lionel Messi went on to become one of the greatest footballers of all time. In 2022, the kid once called too small led Argentina to win the World Cup. You have to fight to reach your dream. You have to sacrifice and work hard for it. Lionel Messi. His story shows that size and setbacks don't decide your destiny, your heart and your talent do. Lionel Messi's journey from a fragile, undersized kid to a world champion is a pretty incredible example of overcoming setbacks and turning what most people think is a weakness into a strength. It wasn't easy. He faced painful treatments and doubts from other people and moments of real fear if his future would work out or not, but he never gave up on his dream. So think about that. At 11 years old, Messi stood at 4'4". He had not grown in 2 years, and without that treatment, doctors said he might top out at just 4'7" as an adult. Every night, this little boy had to inject a needle of growth hormone into his legs so he could have a chance at a normal life. That medicine cost over $1,500 each month, and that was money his family did not have. His father was a steel worker, and his mother cleaned part-time, and they struggled desperately to pay for the treatment. One local club, Newell's Old Boys, helped for a while and covered some of the bills, but even they couldn't keep doing it. They weren't willing to invest long-term in such a young, tiny player. No other club in Argentina would pay either. To them, it was too expensive and too risky. There was no guarantee Messi's treatment would make him grow or make him a star. Some thought it just wasn't worth it. So imagine how that would feel for young Lionel, right? To hear that people who should have been in his corner decided he was too small and not worth the cost. His dream was on the line. And it must have been heartbreaking. But despite all of those doubts swirling around him, Messi did not let it stop him. He loved football too much. He was incredibly good at it. His coaches and teammates at the Newell's Old Boys could see his skill whenever he played. He might have been the shortest kid on the pitch, but he was often the most talented. He was scoring hundreds of goals in youth games, leaving the audience in awe. He refused to let his height define him. So every night when he took those injections, he was effectively telling himself, I'm not giving up. I'm going to do whatever it takes to reach my dream. He learned to give himself the shots at age 11, which is a scary thing for a kid, but he did it. And that built up his toughness and his self-reliance. So instead of feeling like a victim of his condition, Messi kept practicing and honing his skills. He stayed focused on the one thing that he could control, his effort on the field. And then when he was 13, that opportunity came from across the ocean. A few people in Barcelona had heard whispers about a tiny boy with giant talent. They saw videotapes of Messi weaving through defenders like magic, and Barcelona's youth academy invited him for a trial. Can you imagine how Messi must have felt flying to a brand new country, hoping that this was his chance? He was shy, he was in a strange new place, and everyone around him in the trial was much bigger than him. And it all came down to this moment. Not just a football career, but the possibility of a normal life for him was on the line. So Messi stepped onto that field in Barcelona and played like his life depended on it. And in a way, it did. He scored 5 goals in the trial game. He dribbled through players nearly twice his size. The ball seemingly glued to his foot as he weaved through defenders. The coaches watching were stunned. Within just a couple of minutes, one of Barcelona's directors was convinced this kid was a rare gem. Messi was the smallest on the pitch by a long shot, but he was also the most spectacular. And the director was so amazed that he took the slow walk around the field to collect himself, and then he immediately told his staff, sign him, don't even think about it. They didn't want to lose this wonder kid to anyone else. In fact, Barcelona was so eager to secure Messi that they grabbed the nearest piece of paper, which happened to be a simple napkin at the restaurant that evening, and signed a makeshift contract on the spot. That napkin promised that FC Barcelona would pay for Messi's medical treatment and take care of his family as long as he would play for them. Imagine the relief and the joy that Messi and his family felt at that moment. One day, they're on the verge of having to quit the treatment and possibly see Lionel's dream fade away. The next, a world-famous club was saying, we believe in your son and we will help him. It was the chance of a lifetime. Messi and his family uprooted their lives and moved to Spain. It was a leap of faith fueled by hope. But even after arriving in Barcelona, the journey wasn't easy. Messi was in a new country, far from all of his relatives and his friends. He was still a small developing kid who had to keep taking his injections and keep proving himself on the field. He missed home, and at one point his mother and siblings actually moved back to Argentina because the adjustment was so hard, leaving Messi in Spain with his father. There were moments of loneliness and homesickness. Many 13-year-olds would have broken down or lost focus, but not Messi. He kept going to training every day, quietly doing the work. His teammates and coaches noticed his determination. He was usually the smallest player in every single match, but he played with a giant heart. And over the years, that weakness people saw in Messi, his short height, actually became one of his greatest strengths. Because he wasn't big and tall, he developed a low center of gravity, which gave him amazing balance and agility on the pitch. Defenders would tower over him, thinking they could knock him off the ball, but he would just zip right past them. His quick, low strides and unbelievable ball control left opponents chasing shadows. In fact, opponents initially underestimated him because of his size, and that made it even easier for Messi to surprise them with his skills. He turned his body's build into an advantage for him. He couldn't outmuscle the big guys, so he outsmarted and outpaced them. He perfected his dribbling, making it an art form. It's said that because he was never going to outjump or outpower others, he focused on mastering the aspects of the game he could dominate, and he absolutely did. The very thing that some viewed as a limitation became part of what makes him arguably the best of all time. What an amazing turnaround. The kid who was once considered too weak and small to invest in became a player known for his incredible skill and balance on the ball. And year after year, Messi rose through the ranks. He starred for Barcelona's youth teams, then quickly for the senior team. By 17, he made his professional debut. By his early 20s, he was dominating world football. He broke record after record, racking up goals and winning awards. He became a multiple-time World Player of the Year. All of this success was built on a foundation of heart and hard work. Messi didn't magically become great. He worked for it. The injections helped him grow to a normal height. He ended up around 5'7". But it was his dedication that made him a giant in the sport. He sacrificed his childhood comforts for his dream, moving to another continent, enduring medical treatment, training relentlessly, and it paid off beyond anyone's expectations. And in 2022, more than 2 decades after that 13-year-old boy signed the napkin contract, Lionel Messi stood on top of the world. The little kid from Rosario, Argentina, the one many thought might never grow or never make it, lifted the World Cup trophy as the captain of Argentina's national team. It was the ultimate triumph, the kind of moment every kid dreams about. Try to picture Messi in that moment, holding the World Cup high, tears in his eyes, a nation cheering his name. The boy who once had to beg clubs to help him pay for medicine had just led his country to the pinnacle of football. It's like a fairy tale, but it's real. And it happened because Messi refused to quit. He refused to let his setback define his destiny. And instead, he used it to motivate his journey. Now let's turn this inspiration to you. Messi's story is pretty extraordinary, but the truth is every single one of us faces challenges and setbacks in life. They may not be the same as Messi's, but they can feel just as overwhelming. So maybe you have something in your life that feels like a weakness or an unfair disadvantage. It could be a health issue like it was for Messi. It could be a physical trait or a lack of money or support. Maybe people around you are telling you that you can't do something, that you're not talented enough, you're not tall enough, you're not smart enough, or you're just not enough. Maybe you've even started to believe them. And I want you to think about Messi's story and realize that those people can be wrong. Your weakness can become your strength. Your setback can set the stage for an incredible comeback. And the first step is to believe in yourself and your dream, even when others don't. Messi had a few people who believed in him, his family, and eventually that one Barcelona scout. But through all the lonely nights and tough days, Messi himself had to believe that his dream was possible. If he didn't have that self-belief, he would have quit long before Barcelona ever came calling. So whatever your dream is, hold it tight, even if it feels like the odds are against you. Remind yourself why you want it and that you can do it. Second, be ready to fight and work hard for that dream. Like Messi said, you have to fight to reach your dream. You have to sacrifice and work hard for it. There's no way around this truth. Messi sacrificed a normal, easy childhood. He worked harder than everyone else on the pitch. You might have to put in extra hours, learn new skills, or face your fears. It might be painful, it might be tiring, but that's the price of admission for making a dream come true. And the good news is that hard work and sacrifice makes a success so much sweeter in the end. Every injection Messi took, every morning he woke up early to practice, every time he pushed through his homesickness, all of that built him into the champion that he eventually became. So what are you willing to sacrifice to overcome and reach your dream too? Third, look at the ways to turn your specific weaknesses into a strength. So this might mean developing other areas to compensate or using your unique situation as motivation. Messi's height pushed him to develop insane dribbling skills and field vision. In your case, think creatively. If, for example, you feel academically behind, maybe that struggle teaches you a better work ethic than others, which will serve you later on. If you come from a tough financial background, maybe that will drive your hunger to succeed and make you more resourceful. History is full of people who turn their weaknesses into strengths. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player ever, was once cut from his high school team because the coach thought he wasn't tall enough or good enough. And that rejection crushed him, but it also motivated him. He practiced even harder. He showed up every day, determined to prove himself. Jordan grew a bit taller, yes, but more importantly, he grew tougher. He came back and made the team, and he kept improving until he became a legend. Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from one of her first television jobs and was told that she was unfit for TV because she got too emotional on camera. It would have been easy for her to think, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But instead, she kept going. She found her own style and eventually revolutionized television with her empathy and her authenticity. The very thing that she was criticized for became the cornerstone of her actual success. So these examples, they go on and on. You can find tons of them. The key is these people, they don't let setbacks or criticism stop them. They used them. They learned. They adapted. And they kept moving forward. So you can do the same. Whatever you're facing right now, try to see the seed of opportunity inside it. It may not be obvious at first, and it definitely won't be easy to overcome, but that challenge could be forging you into someone stronger and more special. It might be teaching you perseverance or patience or more creativity. It might be giving you a story that will inspire others one day. I know when you're in the middle of a struggle, it's hard to see any kind of positives. I'm sure young Messi had nights when he just felt too tired of it all, tired of the needles, tired of being told no, but he pressed on. And so can you. Remember, setbacks don't decide your destiny. Your determination and your heart do. Messi's story could have ended in defeat, a boy who didn't grow and gave up on football. But he decided that wouldn't be the end of his story. He chose a different ending, one he had to fight for, but one that was worth every sacrifice. You have that power too. Your story is still being written, and you are the author. The pen is right here. It's in your hands, even when circumstances make it feel like it isn't. So, the next time someone tells you that you can't do something, think of Lionel Messi holding that World Cup trophy. Think of how many times he heard can't and how he proved them wrong. And let that light a fire inside you because you have something special in you, just like Messi did. It may not be obvious to everyone yet. It might not even be obvious to you, but it's there. And if you nurture that talent or passion, if you protect it from the naysayers and feed it with hard work and belief, it will grow. In life, we all have moments where we feel small, when we feel like the odds are stacked against us. But remember, being small didn't stop Messi from reaching the absolute peak of his field. A setback at 15 didn't stop Michael Jordan. A harsh criticism didn't stop Oprah. And your challenges do not have to stop you. In fact, they can push you even further than you ever imagined. They can become the reason you succeed. Your heart, your talent, your grit, those are what will determine how far you go, not the obstacle in your path. So take Messi's words to heart. Fight for your dream. Work hard for it. When you stumble, get back up. When you feel weak, remember it's an opportunity to become stronger. Embrace the journey with all of its difficulties because that is what shapes you. Keep going, keep believing, and one day you'll look back and see how far you've come. Just like Messi can look back at that 11-year-old boy and say, look where we are.
Now let's learn the incredible story of Nike founder Phil Knight. Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, was $50,000 in debt, facing bankruptcy, and on the verge of losing everything. But instead of walking away, he fought through the darkest moments of his life and turned his passion for running shoes into one of the most powerful brands in the world. Today, Nike is worth billions. Phil Knight started with a dream: bring high-quality Japanese running shoes to America. He borrowed $50 from his father, which was all he had to get started. But things weren't easy. He faced rejection after rejection. His first company, Blue Ribbon Sports, barely scraped by, struggling to make enough money to stay afloat. Knight spent sleepless nights stressing over how he was going to pay off the bills. He even considered giving up. The pressure was immense. Knight was living in his car, fighting for every sale. He was deeply in debt, $50,000 in the hole, and yet he couldn't bring himself to quit. With no way out, he took a massive risk, rebranding the company and betting everything on Nike. It was his make or break, and it worked. Nike wasn't an instant success, but Phil Knight's relentless drive, passion, and belief in his vision turned it into the global powerhouse it is today. The swoosh became a symbol of perseverance, and Nike became a brand that inspired millions around the world. Phil Knight was broke, overwhelmed, and ready to quit. But he didn't give up. He kept going. What about you? When things get tough, will you walk away or will you keep fighting for your dream? Your breakthrough could be just around the corner. Keep pushing. Phil Knight's life reads like a Hollywood script. In the late 1960s, he was $50,000 in debt and sleeping in his car, fighting to save a tiny running shoe business, Banks kept calling his loans, his Japanese supplier threatened to cut him off, and his dream was on the edge of bankruptcy. Yet Knight refused to quit. He gambled everything on a new brand called Nike and transformed a shoestring startup into a global powerhouse worth billions. Today, Knight and his wife Penny donate billions of dollars to cancer research and education. And this video dives into Knight's journey from shy accountant to co-founder of Nike, the struggles he went through, his leadership lessons, and the legacy he is building through philanthropy. By the end, you'll understand how persistence, passion, and purpose turned a $50 loan into a global empire and how you can apply those lessons to your own dreams. Roots, Portland kid with a dream. Phil Knight was born in Portland, Oregon on February 24, 1938. His father owned the Oregon Journal newspaper, so Phil grew up surrounded by stories but rarely received pocket money. His father believed children should earn their own way. At Cleveland High School, he ran middle distance track but wasn't a star. He enrolled at the University of Oregon in 1955 and joined legendary coach Bill Bowerman's track team. Bowerman tinkered with shoes to shave seconds off his runners' times, and this obsession with performance ignited Knight's curiosity. After graduating with a business degree in 1959, Knight served a year in the U.S. Army and then attended Stanford Business School. At Stanford, he wrote a paper arguing that Japanese running shoes could undercut dominant German brands because of lower labor costs. This assignment planted the seed for Nike. It taught Knight that business plans can start as simple ideas and that passion for a hobby like running can become a business. A $50 loan and a trip to Japan. Knight didn't jump straight into business though. After Stanford, he sold encyclopedias and worked as a CPA, but the shoe idea wouldn't leave him alone. He borrowed $50 from his father and flew to Kobe, Japan in 1962. There at the Onitsuka Tiger factory, he cold pitched a distribution deal for Tiger running shoes in the United States. Knight hadn't even chosen a company name, so when an executive there asked for his firm, he blurted out Blue Ribbon Sports. He returned home with sample shoes and mailed a pair to his old coach, Bill Bowerman. Bowerman loved the lightweight Tiger design and offered to join Knight as an equal partner. Each man invested $500 and Blue Ribbon Sports was born. For the next several years, Knight juggled two jobs. By day, he worked as an accountant and taught at Portland State. By night, he sold shoes from the trunk of his Plymouth Valiant. He drove the track meets up and down the West Coast, hustling one pair at a time, often sleeping in his car. Bowerman modified the Onitsuka shoes and created the Tiger Cortez, which soon became a hit among runners. Blue Ribbon Sports doubled sales almost every year, and by 1969, revenue topped $1 million. Knight finally quit his day job and committed to the business full-time. Near collapse and the birth of Nike. Success didn't come easily. By 1971, Blue Ribbon Sports was selling millions of dollars worth of shoes, but still owed banks large amounts of money. Onitsuka threatened to cancel his distribution agreement and was looking for another partner. Banks refused to extend credit because Blue Ribbon lacked equity. Faced with losing everything, Knight made a bold decision. He would create his own brand and control his supply chain. A young employee named Jeff Johnson dreamed of the name Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. Knight wasn't sold on it, but adopted it temporarily. He commissioned graphic design student Carolyn Davidson to create a logo. She drew the famous swoosh and was paid $35. Years later, Knight gave her a diamond ring and 500 shares of Nike stock to thank her. Bowerman used his wife's waffle iron to experiment with rubber soles, creating a lightweight, grippy tread that became the first bespoke Nike shoe. Blue Ribbon sued Onitsuka for breach of contract and won the right to keep selling the Cortez and received $400,000 in damages. Nike launched in 1971 with its own manufacturing, bolder marketing, and relentless hustle from its founder. Even then, the company almost died several times. U.S. Customs once demanded $25 million in import duties, which would have bankrupted the business. Knight fought the case for 3 years, helped change the law, and eventually settled for $9 million. Sprint to the top. Air Jordan, just do it and go in public. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Nike exploded. The company signed Olympic runners, introduced cushioning innovations, and went public in 1980, giving Knight the capital to expand. Bowerman's waffle-soled shoes gained traction with everyday athletes. In 1984, Nike signed a rookie basketball player named Michael Jordan, who became the face of the Air Jordan line. Advertising agency Weeden and Kennedy coined the slogan, "Just Do It," in 1988. It tapped into the company's ethos of pushing beyond comfort zones. Nike also faced criticisms for labor conditions in its overseas factories. In the 1990s, activists accused the company of using child labor and sweatshops. Knight initially denied the impact, but later overhauled Nike's supply chain by implementing independent monitoring and raising the standards. Personal loss and humility. Now, success didn't shield Knight from tragedy. In 2004, his son Matthew died in a scuba diving accident. Knight later said the loss aged him and changed his outlook on life. He funded the Matthew Knight Arena at the University of Oregon in his son's memory. This personal pain deepened his commitment to philanthropy and reminded him that no amount of wealth can prevent heartbreak. It also reinforced one of his most famous quotes: "The cowards never started and the weak died along the way. That leaves us." Facing grief, Knight kept going. Giving back. Billion-dollar philanthropy. Knight's career evolved from selling shoes to giving away billions. In August 2025, he and Penny announced a $2 billion gift to the Oregon Health and Science University's Knight Cancer Institute. The donation is the largest single gift ever to a U.S. university. The Knights said they were excited about the transformational potential of cancer research, diagnostics, and care, and believed a self-governed institute within OHSU would accelerate progress. OHSU's director, Dr. Brian Drucker, noted that the Knights' earlier $100 million gift in 2008 and $500 million pledge in 2013 helped revolutionize cancer detection and treatment. This new gift will expand clinical trials, provide nutrition and counseling services, and set a new benchmark for philanthropy. But beyond cancer research, the Knights have poured money into education and community development. They donated more than $500 million each to the University of Oregon and Stanford University. In 2023, they pledged $400 million to Portland's 1803 Fund to revitalize the historically Black Albina neighborhood. Through the Knight Foundation, they give away roughly 3% of Nike's pre-tax profits annually, supporting youth programs like the Girl Effects and scholarships. Forbes estimated that the couple have donated over $4 billion to charity and still own roughly 20% of Nike. Phil Knight's philanthropy shows that success becomes meaningful when it's shared. Leadership lessons: what the Shoe Dog teaches us. Knight's memoir, Shoe Dog, and his interviews reveal powerful leadership lessons that apply far beyond athletics. Number 1, find your passion and stick with it. Knight sold shoes out of his car for years because he loved running. Passion fueled him through the rejections, long nights, and the debt. Find a cause that energizes you. It will sustain you when all these obstacles come at you. Next, hire people who share the mission. Many early Nike employees were runners or track enthusiasts, united by a sense to build better shoes. Hiring people who align with your purpose creates a culture where innovation thrives. Next, empower your team. Knight believes that leaders shouldn't micromanage. He once said, "Don't tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do and let them surprise you." Trusting talented people led to breakthroughs like the Waffle Sole and Air Jordan. Next, persist through failures. When Customs demanded $25 million, when Onitsuka tried to squeeze him out, when the banks were pulling his loans, Knight kept going. His motto, "The only time you must not fail is the last time you try." Every failure is a lesson on your path to success. Next, give back. Building a company is only half the story. Knight's philanthropy shows that true fulfillment comes from investing in others and leaving the world better than you found it. Now it's your turn to just do it. Phil Knight's journey from a $50 loan to a $2 billion gift shows us the power of perseverance. He began with a simple idea, a borrowed $50 and a trunk full of shoes, and he overcame debt, rejection, legal battles to create Nike, a brand synonymous with victory. Along the way, he lost a son, he faced public criticism, and fought with the ethical complexities of a global supply chain. Yet he never stopped moving forward. So the next time your dream feels impossible, remember Knight's words. Let everyone else call your idea crazy. Just keep going. To watch our take on Tom Brady's top 10 rules of success, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I didn't come in with the opportunity to play right away. I had to earn it.
And it was hard. I remember taking a walk with my dad and mom around the block.
I have a lot of fun. I mean, we get to play football for a living. I mean, what could be any better than that?